Hi, welcome to Matt's Garage. Obviously this is not my F-350, although I'd love to have it. But this is my neighbor Lee's F-350. Lee, please say hello.
Hi folks.
Lee's been on the channel a few times, but this is the first time with one of his rigs. Now, we're here today because of something called Death Wobble. And Death Wobble is not just for Jeeps anymore. If you Google F-350 Death Wobble, you'll find some harrowing videos online of guys, seeing the steering wheel jerk back and forth. It's crazy. And we don't want that to happen. Lee wants his vehicle to be safe, so we're going to do one of the several optional fixes out there to take care of what Ford has not taken care of to date. Now, have you actually experienced Death Wobble in this thing?
I haven't experienced Death Wobble, but I did experience one time driving down I-90 into Missoula. We hit a rough patch on a concrete section, and the truck bounced. I got a bump stair that took me about halfway into the next lane, and it was quite scary. And it was a response to that I started looking this up online, and I found a number of people talking about similar things, but actually resulting in the Death Wobble. This truck is fairly new, and I found people talking online about their trucks experiencing it about 30,000 miles. So I thought, well, let's preempt this. There's talk about it being caused by wear. There's talk about it being caused by some other things. But the one thing that seems to solve the problem is a steering stabilizer, if it's installed properly and so on. So I started looking into different steering stabilizers. There's a couple different options. The ones that are most popular, you see an awful lot of, they're mounted horizontally down along the tie rod, and you got one going in each direction.
Right. For those, it looks kind of like a hydro assist steering, where you got a mount in the center and then rams going out. But they're not rams; they're shocks in this case.
And those are quite popular. But as I looked into those, I found that your truck has to be lifted to make those work. And this truck isn't lifted, and I don't want to lift it. So you have to have at least a 2-inch lift to make those work. Now, Icon sells one where they say they don't advise that you install it, but they say if you do install it, you need to install a 2-inch bump stop spacer. And I measured the gap in the bump stop, and this is a 2-inch block right here. This 2-inch block will not fit in the gap.
It's crazy. I did this myself. It doesn't. There's no way you can put it. If it's a true 2-inch spacer, the bump stop will actually be in compression on the axle tube the whole time. So
you would have no suspension. So don't install one of those units if you don't have a lift on your truck.
Right.
So if you do have a lift though, I think that's absolutely the way to go, because you'll have two shocks that are perfectly in line with your tie rod. They'll work very nicely. So I think that's the way to go. But if you're not going to do a lift, which I'm not, then you have the original steering stabilizer in there, and it's mounted to the drag link. It's mounted from the frame to the drag link. Now, if your truck is lifted, I don't think you should use that, because your truck is lifted, the drag link is now at an angle, and your frame attachment's over here, and your shock now is at an angle to the direction of travel of the drag link. So I'm not sure I don't think that's a good solution for if your truck is lifted. But if your truck is not lifted, I think that's the way to go. Then the thing we did, I looked into a bunch of different options, and I went with a through shaft stabilizer. And the reason I went with a through shaft stabilizer is when you have a shock of any kind, if you have a shaft on one side and no shaft on the other, then you have a greater cross section of fluid on the upside of the piston from on the shaft side of the piston. So when you're compressing the piston, you're going to get more resistance when you're compressing it away from the shaft, and less resistance when you're compressing it towards the shaft, because there's less fluid on this side to travel over. So when I traveled to the left side with a bump, the shock was actually pulling. It wasn't in compression.
The existing stabilizer.
The existing stabilizer in the truck, yeah. It was pulling. So it's perfectly natural that it works less in that direction and then the other direction. So I got a through shaft stabilizer, which will be balanced. In both directions, it will be the same. With the lower stabilizers on those kits, you get one in each direction. So they automatically balance because you've got compression in one direction and expansion in the other, back and forth. So those work very nicely. This is my solution for...
Let's show them the brand here. So this is a Fox shock. It's got like a remote reservoir here. What's the model on this? Let me grab
it's an ATS 2.0.
Yeah, and the part number is 983022143.
And what the ATS stands for is adjustable. So it's got an adjustment right here. So I can adjust how much resistance this has to movement. There's 24 different clicks. And TS is through shaft. So it's an adjustable through shaft steering stabilizer.
It's nice. It's some serious play.
They make one that's not adjustable. They do some different things, but I wanted an adjustable one because then I can go in and just adjust how much resistance I can dial it in to feel the way I want.
All right. So step one, we're going to pull the old one out, and Lee's going to measure the resistance on that, and we're going to try to dial this into a similar resistance level plus a couple of clicks. So we'll be putting it in slightly stiffer than stock, right?
Right.
So we'll get back around here when we pull the original shock out, or stabilizer. Okay, so we got the original stabilizer shock out.
So what's it?
Made by Hitachi.
4 inches.
Yeah, okay, 4 inches.
And I'll put my weight on it and see how long it takes.
Okay.
Okay.
Go. And stop. Okay, 5.33 seconds to go 4 inches.
I'm assuming I'm going to need at least a few clicks to be equal.
All right, hold on. Okay, hold on, clear, reset. Tell me when you're ready.
I'm ready.
All right, go.
Okay, stop.
Oh, that was less than 5.
Yeah, that was less. Okay.
How many clicks are there? You said 20?
24.
24.
Okay, that's 18.
18 clicks, okay. Say when.
Go.
.33. Oh yeah, that was definitely stiffer.
Stop.
7.85.
Okay. So somewhere around there by the first
Yeah,
second.
between 10 and 18 clicks. Obviously more than 10, but
Yeah.
so it sounds like 12 would probably have you at stock, right, roughly, because it was just under 5 at
18,
10.
18 stiffer. So I'm going to loosen this up again for the install, and then we'll dial it in once we get there. If you want to feel
Yeah,
the
yeah.
clicks.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah,
It's
so-
not like a super firm click, but you can tell that it's going into the next position. And then there's 2 mounting options for this. There's 2 bushings here. One of them's a tall bushing, and one of them's a short bushing, basically. So that's distance from the frame on the eye side. And you gotta make sure you mount it with the screw facing forward so it's easy to adjust.
Yep.
And then the instructions say to mount it with the reservoir down, but it almost comes
It
with...
came with this clamp, so the reservoir would be up, like
Yeah,
in this position.
yeah.
But you can loosen this screw so you can swing this around to the other side. So I'll be mounting it like this.
Yeah, which it's weird too, because normally they put the sticker the way it's supposed to go, but yeah, these instructions show it reservoir down.
They say reservoir down, and it's not only in the pictures, but in the text.
yeah,
It says
so-
reservoir down.
So we're going reservoir down. So we're gonna plan the work here, get it installed, and then we'll do a shot afterwards and talk about any installation hiccups. So what we did is we turned the wheel. I'm just recording this. We turned the wheel all the way to the right, and then you want it to be 1/8 of an inch from the eyelet end to the body of the shock. So Lee had this thick washer that's 1/8. You just set that at that, and now we're clamping down the clamshell on the other side. Almost done. It really is not that hard. All right, we're gonna head underneath and watch this thing work. Okay, so you can see it's clamped on that side. So you see it does act just like a steering stabilizer, but it's the through shaft. Yeah, I mean it looks super clean. Definitely fancies it up.
Yeah, I don't see any issue at all.
So, thoughts on the install?
I thought it went pretty easy.
It did go pretty easy. We Loctited everything. 12 feet-pounds on the cradle screws and 60 foot-pounds on the big bolt. It's 11:46. We started like at 10:15, so figure an hour and a half. 90-minute install, and we weren't even rushed. It was just kind of
Yeah, it's
double checking.
It's a little tight up in there getting at some of those screws, but
Yeah.
otherwise it's fine.
Yeah, and you set it to 18 clicks from open.
Right.
So
that'll be our starting point, and we can adjust from there.
so don't go death wobbling. No. That's
No,
it.
no death wobble.
So that's it's weird that Ford doesn't have a solution to this. They're claiming it's wear, which is
Premature
weird.
wear, which is caused by something. So I'm hoping this will also reduce any premature wear by just controlling things.
Yeah, yeah. But it's a quality unit from Fox. Not much more to say. Thanks for watching. See you next time on Matt's Garage.